At last we will reveal ourselves to the Jedi. At last we will have revenge.
Jar Jar, you're paying this time. Who is this us and others?
I am Queen Amidala of the Naboo. I come before you in peace because we are getting absolutely battered out there.
Naboo begin. You're bringing the mechanics, the abustunas. You're all bombard. You're all dying, Misa think.
We wish to form a wee kind of gang.
Your Honor.
Who said this?
I am Queen Amidala. This is my decoy, my protection, my loyal bodyguard. I am sorry for my deception, but under the circumstances it has become necessary to protect myself. Although we do not always agree, Your Honor, our two great societies have always lived in peace, until now. The Trade Federation has destroyed all that we have worked so hard to build. You are in hiding, my people are in camps. If we do not act quickly, all will be lost forever. I ask you to help us. No, I beg you to help us. We are your humble servants. Our fate is in your hands.
You're no thinking you're greater than the Gungans? Misa like this. Maybe we being friends.
Expertly acted, I think.
I'm not gonna lie. I feel like there's Oscars in the works for a couple of us here. Maybe not me. Maybe used to.
Anyway, right.
See,
so
when you're
to...
talking there, Jim, I just thought that sounds like Natalie Portman.
I thought so.
What about me? Did I sound like a tree frog?
You sound like Brian Blessed on acid.
So a tree frog.
Anyway, welcome to Seismic Cinema and our special review of Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, in honor of it coming out in cinemas for its 25th anniversary. I bet that makes everyone feel old. So I am joined by Paul. Hello, Paul.
Hello there. How's it going?
Yes, good, thanks. And we also have Jim from Castorol Podcast. So welcome, Jim.
Pleasure to be here.
And thank you for taking part in the table read.
It was a pleasure.
Nothing like springing it on you last minute.
Oh yeah, I was just expecting to join in, have a little chat, and then suddenly, here you go. Here's a script.
I've been talking to Jim all weekend. I'm like, yeah, there's no surprises. It's all pretty chilled, you know. Dead easy.
Sorry. I kept that one under wraps. So, Jimmy, you wanting to give your podcast a wee introduction before we get going?
Yeah, why not? So as Colin said, I'm from the Castorol Podcast. So we are just like Seismic Cinema. We're a movie-focused podcast, but we throw a little twist on it. And each episode, every fortnight, we kind of review a different film and also recast the major roles to people that we would like to either see them or think we might have, not that would do a better job of it, but just someone that we think would have also done a decent job of said role. So yeah,
we may have to do.
Yeah, so it's three friends, myself and my two co-hosts, who obviously aren't here this evening, and they are both like bricking it, wondering what kind of a mess I'm going to dump them in on this guest spot. Because for anyone that has listened to our episodes, I am the one with the wildest of opinions on films. In one breath, I can go from defending something like Rebel Moon, and then in the next breath, calling something like Jaws the worst film I've ever seen. So, spoiler alert for episode 13 when that comes out.
Yeah. And I must admit, I have witnessed these episodes.
So yeah, you can understand why Sam and Nick are kind of concerned and worried about me being here on my own.
I must admit, I've listened to, so what was it? You had 2 parts of Rebel Moon Part 1. You done it over 2 episodes. And
Yeah, we argued for about 3 hours on that one.
You done Rebel Moon Part 2, and you done Starship Troopers. And it was 4 episodes. It does feel like it's very Jim versus Sam and Nick.
It's not all like that, I promise.
And
we do agree at times.
It's quite good because you're actually the first person that I've heard say you actually like the Rebel Moon films. So anyone out there,
there's more of us out there, I promise.
If you're interested in Rebel Moon, go watch Cast of Rolls, 3 episodes, because they're absolutely brilliant. I had such a good time. Laughing. And there's there's one line that'll live with me forever. And I can't remember if it was Sam or Nick, but they said the most character development in the movie was the grain because it turned into flour.
It was probably Sam.
Yeah, so that was the best. I couldn't stop gutting myself at that. So that'll live with me forever.
Oh, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Have you recasted Phantom Menace yet?
We have not. No. Had we realised it was its 25th anniversary, we probably would have chosen it to have been the episode that's due out next week. But as we were unaware, it's yet to be done. But we might. I'm not entirely sure on what Sam and Nick's opinions of Star Wars are, so it might be one of them that if I suggest it, they kind of go, absolutely not. But we'll see.
We'll see anyway. Okay, and we are Seismic Cinema, as I said, and you can find us on all the kind of usual social media channels. You can also watch and listen on YouTube and Spotify. And you can help our pal Gary from the Seismic Soccer episodes via mic, so you can join in with the cool guys. And last but not least, we are part of the PodPack Collective, along with other independent podcasts. So search them up on Twitter and give the various podcasts a follow. Okay, so I thought I'd do a special wee segment here. We like to have a wee bit called What We Watching. So I just wondered, with it being May the 4th on Saturday, and obviously this episode being about Phantom Menace, I wondered if you had checked out any Star Wars this week, or are you planning to watch anything over the weekend or next week? Jim, guest always goes first. Have you got anything in the pipeline?
No, nothing really. I'm not the biggest Star Wars guy. Like, I have watched all the films apart from the last film, episode 9, is it? I'm yet to watch that one, but I've been told it's absolutely shocker. So, but I will obviously probably watch it at some point just to kind of round it all out. I have watched.
Don't end on a low. Don't end on a low. Don't do that.
It's fine. I'll make up for it because I've watched. I've still got things like Mandalorian season 3 to watch, Book of Boba Fett. So I've watched some of those series, but I'm not like in a rush to kind of watch any of it.
Jim, see if you do watch the Book of Boba Fett. Me and Paul reviewed the whole series. It was our first ever podcast episodes.
Oh, really? I'll have to go and check it out then.
And if you watch Book of Boba Fett, you'll see that its quality is probably on par with our first episodes, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I've kind of heard the best stuff that's come out recently is Andor. I've heard that's really good, but I've not jumped into that one yet.
The animated stuff's good as well. What about you, Paul?
I've heard a lot of good things about that Bad Batch, but I've not found time to watch it.
It just finished yesterday. It's all done now, so if there's a time to check it out, it's all on there now. So
I might have to check that out then.
Yeah. So Paul, what about yourself? What are your May the 4th plans?
Yeah, I'll hopefully get into the cinema with you to watch it. I'm bowling. It's bowling season again. Lawn bowls, Jim, I'm pretty cool. I play lawn bowls. So I've got a lawn bowls tournament on Saturday, and then after that, if we've been packed out before the semi-finals and finals, I'll be going to watch the Phantom Menace in the cinema with Colin here, hopefully, and get some nostalgia.
Mm-hmm.
What about you?
Well,
apart from
I watched the Bad Batch finale last night, which I enjoyed. There'll be no spoilers from me. And then I'm going to Phantom Menace with you, hopefully. And then I'm going to go again on Wednesday with young Zachary we saw earlier. probably won't have time to watch anything else, but I think that's good for starters anyway.
Yeah. Indoctrinating the wee one young. Good.
Yeah, got to get. I think I'm looking forward to seeing it on the big screen again.
It'll be
So
good.
I thought I would start off our review in the classic Star Wars sense by resharing the opening crawl from Phantom Menace. So this is in place of a description of my own. So turmoil has engulfed the Galactic Republic. The taxation of trade routes to outlying star systems is in dispute. That really kind of rolls off the tongue, doesn't it?
It kind of
Hoping
grabs
to
you, doesn't it?
hoping to resolve the matter with a blockade of deadly battleships, getting better. The greedy Trade Federation has stopped all shipping to the small planet of Naboo. This is like the advanced higher business assessment. While the Congress of the Republic endlessly debates this alarming chain of events, the Supreme Chancellor has secretly dispatched 2 Jedi Knights, the guardians of peace and justice in the galaxy, to settle the conflict.
Sounds like an advert for HMRC, doesn't it?
I wonder, Paul. I wonder what our 8-year-old selves thought of that opening crawl when we were in the cinema.
I think I was kind of like, oh, big yellow writing. That's a Star Wars. This is cool. Didn't actually read it, but yeah.
Oh, well, we'll get to that. Anyway, the film was directed and written by George Lucas, the maker. Produced by Rick McCallum, and it stars Liam Neeson, who everyone absolutely loves, Ewan McGregor, Natalie Portman, Jake Lloyd, Ian McDermott, Anthony Daniels, someone who I can't read, Pernilla August, and Frank Oz. And the music, there's always something in my notepad I can't read.
Was it Ahmed Best?
Can
you miss Jar Jar it, man?
I will say it was Ahmed Best then. Music by the.
I mean, I'm sure some people prefer we left Jar Jar out.
No, he's had a wee renaissance this year in the Mandal. Oh, spoilers. Moving on.
No,
music...
I can't watch it now.
It's not Jar Jar. That's all I'll say. Music by John Williams came out in 1999 when me and Paul were 8. The budget was 115 million, and it made over 1 billion at the box office. So, obviously, being the first Star Wars film since '83, I would say, it was a really kind of greatly anticipated.
Over a billion, is it?
Yeah, according to Wikipedia, the fountain of all knowledge. I just want to share some of the social media quotes. So, Paul, the first one was off Discord.
Or you want me to read it?
You can read it if you want, or I can read it. I've got it here.
You read it, because I thought you meant when me read it. I didn't have it in front of me.
Okay, so the pedant of the sock drawer. Can't see the full name.
Yes.
There it is. I remember going to see it with my mates at the recently opened Odeon in Ipswich. It may even have been the first film I saw there. I remember enjoying it. Loved the lightsaber. I love how the lightsaber battles seemed more fluid than the originals, which made sense as Luke had limited training. Overall, remember coming out thinking it wasn't a bad start. Didn't even hate Jar Jar. Still enjoy it now, having rewatched it with my girlfriend's boy, but I've come to the conclusion I'm easily pleased where films are concerned. So the opposite of Jim. So I'm not sure I make a good film critic. Or is it the opposite of Jim? Kind of not. This is the cool part. He met Ray Park, who does the kind of body of Darth Maul, and he got his autograph, but he thinks it's with his ex, so he doesn't know what it is, which is a sad ending.
Yeah. What a tragic story.
We'll definitely get into Jar Jar, so we'll press on. Chat Tsunami, the creator of the PodPack, says, while it doesn't hold up in a lot of ways, it's still amazing how iconic this one has been within the series. I still remember being amazed by the final fight with Maul, Qui-Gon, and Obi-Wan, as well as the pod racing. So again, we'll get to that. He also said the bits that didn't hold up for him were the overuse of CGI, and the plot needs severely tightening up. He felt Chatsunami felt it could have been more of a precursor to the Clone Wars rather than a film that could have been cut out entirely from the trilogy. So that's an interesting point. Craig from What's the Script said, vastly underrated. Remember what it was setting up. He remembers the impact and scale of the battles, who it gave us in terms of characters, and he mentioned things like, oh, he's just talking about the prequels in general, like Camino and Geonosis being really visually impressive. He still prefers the originals, but he likes the prequels too. James, who's skiving tonight, only joking, James, reminded me not to insult our fan base because what was it I said in the comment, Paul? I said,
was it people just because you speak you aren't intelligent or something?
I used the quote from Qui-Gon. The ability to speak does not make you intelligent. But it was just a wee joke, guys. Just a wee joke. And last but not least, watch it if you can. Said, genuinely, a wee bit of wee came out the first time I saw Darth Maul igniting the double-bladed lightsaber. It's not perfect, but the cast is great, and the last 25 minutes are worth sitting through all the trade dispute scenes. There you go. That's the Twitter comment. So thank you to everyone who reached out.
So it was good to get a few comments here and there. It's quite funny too. There's not really that many negative. I thought it'd be more negative ones or people with more controversial takes on it. But
maybe that's where Jim comes in.
Yeah.
That's why I'm here.
Anyway, Jim, what's your kind of like memories of this film and like your?
Well, I think I'd wiped it from a memory that it was. I think I've wiped it from a memory that it was 1999 because I kind of don't want to admit that I was in secondary school when this film came out. So in my head, it's post 2000. But yeah, so I would have been 12 when this came out.
You're not far off us.
I'm fairly certain I did watch this in the cinemas. So yeah, I definitely would. Did I watch it? If I didn't watch it, no, 100. Yeah, I definitely would have watched this in the cinemas with a few mates from school. Can't say I'd have been overly excited about it because, like I said, I'm not a huge Star Wars guy, but it was just more like to go there. But yeah, I definitely remember really kind of enjoying it when I was there and kind of thinking, oh, maybe I am a Star Wars guy, you know. By the time Episode 2 came out, I was more excited for that based off of this one. So, because I think I don't think I'd watched the originals at this point. I was really late into watching the originals. I don't think I watched them until later on in secondary school, probably like 15, 16, something like that.
Fair enough.
Yeah, good. Because it's always good to get somebody on to talk about Star Wars that isn't. Because sometimes I think, like me and Colin, can sometimes get a bit too get a bit biased towards Star Wars some ways, or a bit too like we can judge it too much or judge it too little, depending because we like Star Wars so much. So it's good to get somebody a bit more kind of neutral into it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure I'll probably say something that will offend the Star Wars fan base at some point during this. So.
Just as long as you don't say Rebel Moon was better than Star Wars, because that's an automatic kick it.
Is that me kicked off the podcast if I say that? Is it? No, I will not be. I will not be going that far. Don't you worry.
Good man,
Paul. Do I need to ask you?
What?
Do I need to ask you? Because I feel like we kind of did this jointly.
Oh, you can take it. You're good at storytelling.
I think I saw it possibly with my dad the first time, and then we went. This is a phrase we use, Jim, because we live in a peninsula. We went across the water. That's the phrase. To see this for Paul's probably 8th birthday.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah. So I went with Paul and his family, and we saw that. I also saw the. Can't remember if you did, Paul. The 3D re-release in like the early. Like around about 2011, maybe kind of time.
Don't think so. No.
It was that just before Disney bought over Star Wars. They were going to essentially release them all as 3D, and so again, that was a cool experience. Did
you go to some museum or something, and all the Star Wars stuff was in a museum?
Yeah, we went to Edinburgh with my parents and went to this like Star Wars museum. Yeah.
I thought that was there a pod racer there,
Can't
like
remember
hanging
that.
up like an actual vehicle.
There might have been. There's pictures somewhere. We could maybe try and get hold of them.
Sorry, Jim, for the
I could,
nostalgia fest there.
there was a lot of nostalgia there. Like I wrote down like the episode 1 game, which was my very first PlayStation 1 game.
Talking of PlayStation 1, the better game was. I wrote that one down myself. Hang on, I think I wrote the title down.
I know what's coming, Paul.
Is it the hardest game in the world?
Yeah,
it wasn't the hardest game in the world, but it was one of the best. Jedi Power Battles.
Oh yeah.
That was one of the best games on the PlayStation 1. I remember playing
Plo
hours.
gold lightsaber.
That game was so hard.
Fantastic. It was fantastic.
Because we used to always fall off like conveyor belts all the time.
Yeah, we just couldn't. I just couldn't get the platform.
Oh yeah, if you were playing co-op and you weren't actually cooperating, then one of you was steaming on ahead. Yeah,
the camera, your camera's away, and you'd be like,
yeah, you were being dragged and falling off. No doubt.
That's probably one they might re-release because they just re-released the Phantom Menace game on the PlayStation Store. So I bought it for like £4 or something.
Was Jedi Power Battles the one where you could get like a double like an extended lightsaber? It was like massive, like it made your lightsaber like double the length it should be, so you could hit range or something.
I'd imagine there was probably some kind of like cheat codes or something that came out for it during that kind of time that allowed you to do things like that. Yeah.
God, core memories.
We need to get that. We need to get that game out when I move house and have a wee Jedi Power Battles night.
Yes, definitely.
I mean, that is a game that I would absolutely love. Some like a HD re-release on that, or them to just remake that game.
Although I feel like Colin, last time he spoke about the Star Wars the episode 1 game, the official movie game, he was on another podcast and he said, I think, don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure he said, I really like the Star Wars episode 1 game because you could go around Tatooine killing all the villagers.
It was true. So you went as Qui-Gon in the game, and you could just, which doesn't really happen in games nowadays. You could just take out random civilians, but then the wee old ladies would just start screaming, "It's the murderer!" It's hilarious.
And then you kill the wee old ladies.
That might be what I do over the weekend. Play the Phantom Menace game.
Fair enough.
Kill the ladies. Right, guys, let's get into the review. So this will take on a form of its own, but I've just got wee random questions, so I'm just going to fire them out. So, Jim, you're first up for this one, and we'll see where we go. So, what did you make of Anakin being C-3PO's creator?
Oh, I mean, I imagine 12-year-old me probably thought it was really cool. I'm not sure how I felt about it this time, because I hated Anakin. I really hated Anakin in this film. I think I might have hated him more than Jar Jar. I don't know if that's a hot take or not, but I think I hated him more than Jar Jar.
They're pretty close to each other on the scale.
Do you not like Jingle All the Way to them?
Oh no, Jingle All the Way is a phenomenal film.
Aye.
But
Jingle All the Way, he's annoying in this.
But he probably is equally as annoying in that film. But it's a phenomenal film from the start to the beginning. But the character of Anakin in this is just horrendous.
Right. To quote A New Hope, stay on target. So you went on a rant about Anakin. So did you like him being C-3PO's creator, or do you think it was kind of shoehorned in?
Looking at it now, it probably is kind of shoehorned in as a way of just getting C-3PO in the film. But I think it wasn't done as obviously R2-D2 was kind of felt a bit more organic in the way he was introduced, whereas C-3PO, looking back at it, probably did feel more shoehorned in as a way of getting him in.
What about you, Paul? Did you like it, dislike it?
I don't think I really thought of it at the time. Like, I just probably thought, yeah, that's cool. Like, this is where we see him. But then I do think it's just a way of just like getting him straight into the character and just getting the character into the movie without much effort. Who's just kind of like, well, I better introduce him somewhere. I may as well make Anakin a boy genius and as well as the chosen one. But yeah, I didn't think too much of it at the time. But I do see the memes all the time. Oh no, I can't even say it because Jim's not seen the last film yet. But there's something to do. There's something
Oh,
to do with ancient,
don't you worry about spoiling the last film.
there's something to do with ancient Sith language or something that robots can't read. Ancient Sith language, and it's like, so did Anakin program that when he built him? He thought, oh, I need to follow protocols here. Anyway, sorry, that's a whole different movie, and we don't need to talk about that.
That sounds like a lot of people seeing a lot of things that aren't actually there.
Yes,
I do.
It's not good.
I do think it was shoehorned in, but I quite liked. I thought it was quite funny how they made him quote unquote naked, and I always loved that line where he went, "My parts are showing." Oh my! Because I had the action figure of C-3PO like that as well, so I like the character design in this film for him, but it does open a few plot holes. How like does Vader recognize him in Empire Strikes Back and all that kind of stuff?
Oh yeah.
But that's just a thing. Okay, so the next thing I thought about was Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan. Paul, what did you make of Ewan McGregor or Obi-Wan as a character in this one?
I liked him. It's weird seeing him like so fresh faced and not a scruffy desert dwelling person that we see now in like the series and stuff like that. I don't know. His accent bothers me. Because obviously he's a good Scotsman like us, Jim, you know what I mean? And then he's got a weird kind of posh accent in this.
Well, he's trying to mimic Alec Guinness, isn't he?
Yeah, true that. But yeah, overall I liked him. You can see he's still a wee bit, I don't know, I would say a bit kind of green. Like there's just some bits where I'm like kind of like, oh, he's not that good. But yeah, I do enjoy him as a character, and he grows into it over the franchise. So
yeah, Attack of the Clones is probably when he starts hitting his stride.
Yeah, and like the fight scenes as well. Like I know like there's probably a lot of stunt people in it involved in things, but the actual swordplay when you see him up close and that as well, like, I think he put a lot of time and effort into it. So it's good. It's cool seeing the fights and the actual intensity they all put into it. So yes, I think he done a grand job.
Our excitement for the Kenobi show obviously showed how iconic Ewan McGregor became over the years.
Yeah. Just a shame about the series itself.
I enjoyed quite a lot of it. It wasn't perfect, but it had some good stuff.
Have you seen Obi-Wan, Jim?
I've seen the first maybe two episodes of it, I think. I've not. Okay, it was one of them that I kind of started watching and then kind of fell off because time.
Yeah, that's plot hole central. That's continuity. That's continuity central.
The last few episodes are quite good, I thought. Anyway, you can check that out on our archive. We reviewed the whole show of that as well.
I'm gonna have to go back and listen to more, aren't I?
Do you feel that they utilised Ewan McGregor's talents enough? Because there's basically in Tatooine he gets left on the ship. Do you think they could have maybe used him a bit more rather than kind of sidelining him for large parts?
I mean, maybe, but I think if he was used more and not left, I don't think. Spoiler: I don't think Qui-Gon's death would have been as impactful because obviously if you had them both there, it might have taken some kind of that impact away. Whereas portraying Qui-Gon as the main Jedi and having Qui-Gon take on the mantle of Anakin's trainer and things like that, when he then dies, it's got quite a big impact at the end of this film. Whereas I think if Obi-Wan was there the whole time, I'm not sure the impact of that death would be as big.
It's a fair point because obviously Obi-Wan gets his more than enough time to shine in episodes 2 and 3, so that is a good point.
I think if Obi-Wan turned up as well, I think it would just be like Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan not bickering, but I think Obi-Wan would be questioning everything that Qui-Gon was doing more so than he does back at the tempo and stuff like that. So it'd just be like that, but prolonged, and I think it'd be a bit grating.
Paul Padme basically does that, fulfills that role.
Exactly. So you don't want to spoil Obi-Wan doing that.
That's a good point, Jim. It kind of leads me on. This is where I love when the discussion just kind of flows. Paul, what did you make of Qui-Gon's existence? Like, I love the character. I love Liam Neeson, but what do you think of the existence? Do you think he was needed? Do you think it kind of took a bit away from Obi-Wan's relationship with Anakin, or what were your thoughts on Qui-Gon?
What are these questions, man? Like, this isn't like what we usually do. Usually we're just like, the movie was good. It was good. This is getting a bit cerebral for me.
I just had some thoughts, and I thought it would just generate some discussion.
God, I'm having Qui-Gon Jinn's existential crisis here. So, yes, I'm glad he existed. I think it needed him because of his experience and his wisdom in the Force to recognize Anakin's possible talent and like the talks of the prophecy, because I feel like that's quite an older thing for the Jedis, like amongst the older Jedis. So I think if it was just Obi-Wan by himself, it wouldn't come across that impactful because he's quite young and inexperienced. So it sounded as if he didn't know what he was talking about if he was to take on that mantle. So I like that. Plus, it gives the whole loss for Obi-Wan, so he gets a bit darker possibly in the later on films. And it's the kind of first impactful death you get in the new series, so you can see it's quite serious. So, or the new movies, so you get quite serious because you spend all time in the movie with him, and then you knock him off. So, yeah, I feel like his existence was worthwhile.
Yeah. What were you, Jim?
Yeah, I mean, kind of echo what Paul's kind of saying. Yeah, he's definitely has its place in the franchise. Obviously, I don't think it would have made a lot of sense jumping straight in with Obi-Wan being as young as he's portrayed in this film. Obviously, as the series goes on, he obviously ages, and as we, in episode 4, obviously he's quite a older, wizened man. So it's nice. It's kind of good to be able to see this progression of the Obi-Wan character as well, going from a young Padawan essentially. Well, he's not a young Padawan, but he is like a Padawan in this, isn't he? To he's under Qui-Gon's wing to then progress. So having Qui-Gon there to keep showing his wisdom, giving Obi-Wan the knowledge as well, I think just kind of it's helped the Obi-Wan character, as well as obviously giving the fans another Jedi to kind of enjoy.
Yeah. I think he's a very kind of universally loved character. Like, I've never heard someone say that they don't like him. And he obviously, he appears, he has like kind of small appearances in some of the animated shows. And there was a lot of kind of clambering for him to appear in the Obi-Wan show as well. So I think he was a really popular character. And I think Liam Neeson's acting as well. I think he's arguably the strongest acting performance in this film. What would you guys think about that?
I mean, I'd forgotten Liam Neeson was in this film. So when he rocked up on my screen as Qui-Gon, I was like, oh, hang on. But yeah, no, he was, he arguably the strongest performance. I'm not sure, because he's probably at this point had the much longer career, hasn't he, compared to some like Natalie Portman and Ewan McGregor. I'm not sure what kind of big roles Ewan McGregor had done up at this point, apart from Trainspotting. So yeah, it kind of shown his experience on screen as well as kind of help elevate the movie.
He was a kind of big ticket name, wasn't he?
On the topic of performances, I've actually got up on the Liam Neeson fact. He cost the production. You heard this? He cost the production loads of extra money because he was too tall for the sets, so they had to make a lot of the sets bigger to fit him in.
I've heard that. Yeah. Somebody didn't do their research.
Yeah, so it'd be interesting to hear your takes on the performances, because there's obviously a lot being said over the years about the dialogue and the acting in these films. So, Paul, what's your kind of view on like is there any performances that stand out? Anyone you thought was particularly weak?
Am I first again? Stop picking on me.
Well, Jim was just talking there. So I could go back. I could go back if you want.
Aye,
Okay, I'll go back. Jim. We usually pick on James. We usually pick on James at this point. So, what was your take on like
Jim?
Yeah. What was your take on the kind of acting and the dialogue in general?
I mean, it's kind of hard, because obviously you are trying to go. You're obviously it's not the beginning of the franchise, but you're going way back. Obviously, they're trying to almost kind of start the franchise again with this, aren't they? Not because obviously they obviously kind of try and link it in and with the older ones, and I don't really know. It's kind of hard one. I'm not one that's for anyone that's heard our my podcast. Obviously, I'm not the one. I'm not going to throw out all these great kind of insights and stuff. So I'm probably not the best kind of person to kind of speak on things like that. But I don't know. They did fine. I think everyone performed their roles amicably. I don't think there's really anyone that was actively bad, apart from Anakin. He can just get in the bin. But I think Ewan McGregor was fine. Natalie Portman was fine. I didn't even realize Keira Knightley was in this, but she was fine. Yeah, I think it was just fine. There's nothing actively bad about any of the performances. They were just fine.
That's fine. What about you, Paul? Yeah, your midget.
Hey, no, just I just wanted the guest to have a chance because I feel like you're throwing things at me and I'm struggling to keep up here. So
sorry, I know you've had a long week.
I've had a long week. So acting wise, I'd say Jake Lloyd is a bit of a weak point as Anakin. When it's just, I don't know. I think the dialogue doesn't help, to be honest. And then like the interactions with him and Padme, it's just like, I don't know. Like at the time, it was probably alright. It was probably innocent. But then when you look back at it,
are you an angel?
Yeah, it's just creepy.
I think Padme is quite a problematic character, if you ask me. She's definitely a groomer.
Yeah, she's a creeper, alright.
Yeah.
Was she not meant to be like in the story? He was a certain age, and she was she not meant to be 14 in that? In this,
well, I'm not sure what the age gap's meant to be, but honestly, when you get to episode 2, Anakin has aged a lot because obviously he's then played by Hayden Christensen. So
there's a 10-year gap.
Lot.
So Hayden Christensen's Anakin's meant to be 19 in Attack of the Clones, I think.
It just the optics of it looks terrible because like Jake Lloyd's like up to her knee.
And she's a ruler of a planet, essentially.
Yeah. But I do find Natalie Portman, I find her acting a wee bit kind of wooden sometimes. Like even when like she's giving that kind of impassioned speech to the scenery we did at the start, I even find that kind of a bit like it's not really empowering or anything. It's just a bit kind of like meh.
I will not condone a course of action that will lead us to war.
I think she's obviously played that role how she imagines royalty would sound and act.
Very queen-like.
There's a line that stood out.
That's what she's aiming for. I don't think she's quite got it, but she's close enough.
There was a line that stood out to me that she delivered really kind of wooden. It was these junk dealers must have. It's during that the one where they're sitting at the table talking about Anakin's pod racing and his mum's not wanting him to do it. So some of her line delivery in that scene was pretty poor.
I don't know. It's just like I was saying. Like I think the dialogue helps anyone really. There's quite a lot of it. It's just like, is that what they're talking about? I feel like whoever wrote like the opening scroll kind of wrote some of the dialogue here. They're definitely a chartered accountant, aren't they?
It's a nice nod to Shaun of the Dead, pal.
Yep. So, aye. Natalie Portman a bit. Jake Lloyd, pretty. That's my technical take on it.
Paul, is your dad not a chartered accountant?
He is, and he's a lovely man. And he probably could have wrote a better opening scroll. He'd probably like, yep, Naboo's taxes were due on April the 1st. They weren't, so sent the bailiffs round. Can't pay, take it away.
Yeah. I would agree. It doesn't have quite the zip, does it, of like the interactions with like Harrison Ford, even in like the the sequels. Like Harrison Ford's kind of like wisecracks and even like Finn's like dialogue, and I just felt it was a lot more kind of real and a bit more enjoyable to watch rather than what we got in this film.
This one seemed like a kind of not a kind of play, but like a kind of stage show almost, not like a movie. Nothing was really kind of rolling off the tongue. It was very kind of like he said, she said, but it's very proper speaking, if you know what I mean. But it's the 90s, man. You can do with that.
So we're talking about Anakin and Padme. So Paul, I think it's safe to come to you this time round. Do you feel like Anakin should have been older? I've heard this argument a lot that he should have been older in this one instead of being a 9-year-old.
Oh, I think.
Or do you think it makes sense?
I don't know. Like, would it make that much of a difference? I think the only thing that bothers me is obviously the age gap between him and Padme, because you know they're going to get together. But yeah, I think it needed to be explained more what their ages were, because like Jim was saying, like she does not look 14 or whatever she's meant to be. Nobody ever says she's 14. She just looks like a grown ass woman. And this wee boy's chatting her up, and she's like, "Oh, bit creepy, but okay."
The smile they give each other at the end as well. It's like, oh, that's a bit creepy.
Yeah. She gives him his wee what is it, proportionate or something, the wee amulet thing.
Oh, I don't even know.
You know the wee thing. No, he makes it for her, like the wee wooden thing.
All right,
and she wears it when she dies at her funeral.
I see. So I don't know. Do you think they were going for like a small kid for like a kind of a cuteness factor, like to bring in more family friendly audiences or something to kind of make it more relatable or something? And then I don't know. I've not heard people say that they wanted him older, but it might have made a slight bit of difference if he was slightly older looking, and it made it less awkward, because like you're saying, like if he's like a wee kid saying like you're an angel, and then she's like a grown ass woman, you're like, no, I don't like that. I don't like that.
What about the classic line, "Yippee"?
That and what, spinning's a good trick or something like that. Nobody talks like that.
It's working. It's working. I do use that line a lot if something's broken and it starts working though.
Yeah. So yeah, I would say if he was older, maybe it would help. Yeah. Or if Padme was younger, like either way, just make it look optics better. But I did find him quite an annoying wee kid, rather than like you just can't see him growing up to be Darth Vader. And I know this is before all the darkness like creeps in. It's meant to show him like kind of light side, all good, like innocent kind of thing. But I don't know. I just didn't buy into it. Maybe at the time I did, but right now I don't.
Do you agree, Jim?
Yeah, I'm not really sure Anakin being older would have helped a great deal. I mean, I think it just needed some, like Paul said, a bit more clarity on how old Padme actually is in this in this film, and how obviously it's quite obvious Anakin's young. He's, it's quite obvious he's clearly no older than 10. But I think he's like, what, 8, 9? But there's nothing to say at any point like how old this Padme character is. So if we had known, if it explicitly said this is how old she is, then, some of the actions would maybe have felt a bit less weird. So, I mean, yeah, you could have aged him a bit. I'm not whether it would have helped. I'm not convinced.
Fair enough. I think maybe it was because like they were going to have him as a slave, and maybe having him younger with like the strong relationship he has with his mum. Like maybe that was the angle they were going. That him being a slave is more impactful if he's a kid rather than like a teenager.
Yeah, obviously, I think they were clear wanted to try and get a bit more sympathy for the character by having him this young and having to fight his way out of the slave. But I don't really feel that one.
It's all right. I thought this may be a good time to talk about some scenes, like any particular scenes that we like, because there was something I just mentioned a minute ago that there's a scene I particularly like. So, Jim, so Paul doesn't shout at me. I'm scared of Paul. Is there any like kind of standout, like maybe like a short scene or maybe an extended scene? What are the kind of your standout memories of the film?
I mean, well, when you think of Phantom Menace, there's probably two, I'd say, standout moments in the film that you can't not talk about. That, of course, one of them being the pod racing sequence, and the other one being that fight at the end. But I obviously both fantastic sequences. Pod racing, I think, just goes down in legend as one of the greatest bits of cinema for me, anyway. But I quite liked their escape from the Gungan city. I thought that was, yes, it's got some quite iffy CGI, but I quite enjoyed it. Them going through this dark ocean, can't see what's going on, and suddenly this massive Godzilla-like thing comes out of nowhere. And yeah, I thought it was quite well done. It's probably not the first like moment that people go for, but for me, I quite enjoyed that one.
There's always a bigger fish.
I fucking knew you were going to say that. I knew you were going to say that. See, as soon as you start talking about it, I was like, I bet you at the very end, but when he finishes saying that, he's going to say that. Because I was going to say it.
Well, you need to get in faster next time. I was the bigger fish there, Paul.
Yes, you were.
What about you, Paul? So, any other scenes that you particularly enjoyed?
Oh, obviously, like, like the Duel of the Fates battle, that's the kind of main one that everybody loves. But I'm a bit of a sucker for, like...
romance.
No, definitely not. For, like, pitched battles. So, like, when the battle droids are fighting the Gungans, but they're all lining up in the hill, and the Gungans have the shield up over the army, and they're just battering out the tanks, and then all the droids come out of the... What are they called again? I can't remember.
Like tank things.
Yeah, I can't remember what they're called. That's sad because I play Battlefront 2 all the time.
That's coming up in the quiz, Paul. You're not unprepared.
Sorry, I'm just going to furiously Google right now. So, yeah, just that pitched battle. Like, I like it when they've got like battles. So they had the ground battle going on at the same time as the space battle. Space battle, I wasn't too keen on just because like they have this crazy scenario where Jake Lloyd is like untouchable in this spaceship, and he somehow like clumsily manages to evade everyone and blow up the main control ship, which it's meant to be. I know it's meant to be like comedic and funny, and like, this wee kid's done all this by accident, but it's a bit annoying because like there's like these seasoned starfighter pilots and they just get blown to shreds, and he's just like, oh, I'm spinning. Oh, look, I'm here right now. But the ground battle I really like because like it's just when the droids come out of their wee tank things and they start forming up and that and just marching in. I just really like that. I like the scene because it's like a big green field and that, and it's quite bright. And just I like the sounds as well, like the sound design where like the shield deflecting all, not deflecting, but like absorbing all the energy bolts and stuff like that. Just, I like the ground battles. I'm a bit of a sucker for that in the action. None of the romance and that, but I'll let you talk about the Duel of the Fates battle because I know you really want to.
Me?
Yeah.
There was a couple other scenes I wanted to just touch on. I really liked the first scene where Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon draw their lightsabers. You know, when they're getting kind of suffocated with the gas, and then they just team up to take them down. Like that's probably the first time we've seen two lightsaber wielders together. Because in the original trilogy, it was always just Luke or it was Obi-Wan. There was never like a kind of team up. So I like that. One of the really strong scenes, I know you're not a fan of Anakin, which you've made quite clear, Paul and Jim. But see the scene where he's saying goodbye to his mum. Like, even though you don't like Anakin, you must admit that was quite a powerful scene. But I've just wasted some words.
I totally blanked it. Wasn't interested.
It's just a bit.
It was all right, I guess.
It's important scene because it's obviously setting up his whole attachment and then his fear of loss, which ultimately is what kind of leads him down the dark path. And then I just really liked that scene. If you're talking about Duel of the Fates, I've got a particular favorite bit of Duel of the Fates. I always just I don't know why. I think it was just seeing Obi-Wan using a lightsaber color that wasn't his own. See when he leaps up and takes the green one and stabs Maul. But actually, there's a bit just before that where Obi-Wan essentially taps into the dark side a bit. You know, where he's going like 100 miles an hour at Maul.
And
he's
pure rage mode.
He's like leaping over it and stuff. Like, there's a lot of great moments in this film. So, Jar Jar.
He was going to come up, wasn't he?
I don't think we can have a Phantom Menace 25th anniversary discussion without touching on the man, the myth, the legend.
Yeah, he was there he was clearly there to help bring in a more child friendly, to be like more child friendly. They wanted to bring more kids into the audience. What better way to do it than some weird frog man thing, just talking stupid and just being absolute nonsense comedy fodder, which is what he is. And you know, when you're 10 watching this for the first time, you're probably going to think he's piss funny, and you probably walked out of that screen going, "Oh, Jar Jar, he's probably my favorite character," and I probably did when I was 11 years old because it was just stupid. But now you look back on it and you think, why is this here? What is the purpose of this character? And because obviously he was so popular when this film first came out, they had to then find a role for him in the next two films.
A very reduced role, though.
Thankfully, yes, but they still but he was still obviously kind of shoehorned in as this consultancy role to Amidala.
Representative Binks, I think was his title.
Yeah, but it's like, so he's gone from obviously this quite big role to just very reduced. But yeah, he was clearly a favourite among the younger audiences. But I think obviously the older audience watching this were like, "What is this?"
Do you know what happens to Jar Jar after the series? I think this is canon actually. Do you know what he becomes?
Fisherman.
He becomes like a court jester on Naboo. He just like juggles.
I mean, that makes sense. That makes sense, doesn't it? Yeah, that sounds about right.
He just goes back to type.
Paul, I'm interested to hear your thoughts on Jar Jar, kind of when you were a kid and more so now.
Well, actually, now to think about it, see, when I was a kid, like Jim was saying, I actually quite like Jar Jar. Like, he was like funny. I thought, like, just because I was stupid and he was stupid, so I enjoyed it. Actually, I remember not long after this came out, I got a watch, like one of these wee toy watchings, and the alarm used to be like a stap shooting in the forest, and then it'd be Jar Jar going, "Rah!" something like that, and that was my alarm. And it used to go off all the time. I used to love it, and I think it was hilarious.
No
And
wonder you're so
now-
grumpy at school.
I know. And then thinking about it, see if I had that now, I would just burn that in a fire and just get rid of it. But like, see, growing up, it's probably just because like you grow up, your humor changes, and you just don't have time for it anymore. You think, why is this guy talking so stupid and that? This is terrible. But I'd imagine now, like, see, you're taking your wee in on Wednesday. He might absolutely love Jar Jar.
He actually watched some of it in the house not that long ago, and he didn't like him.
Well, and my point is absolutely ruined then. So
Well, see,
not
I'm willing to bet
he's
if
not
I
watched
show
the
this
whole
to
film.
my, sorry, I'm willing to bet if I show this to my 6-year-old, he will love Jar Jar. I can
Aye.
almost guarantee it. But it's going to be convincing him to watch it because he's not really into this kind of stuff. But yeah, this would be the character that if my 6-year-old saw this, he'd be like, yes, please.
well, this can be the case study. You get him to watch it now, and then come back in the show in 25 years, and we'll see if he still loves him.
I'm kind of mixed on him. Like, I think I've got a different view on him to maybe a lot of other people because of I was 8, like me and Paul were 8. We were the target market at that time, and he obviously, like, he's too silly, and we'll come back to some of the things he says, but he does play an important. He has a purpose, at least. He's like ultimately what leads to them getting the army for the end battle. And do you know that there's that whole theme in the film about the kind of useless life forms and how Qui-Gon wants to kind of help people who other people might just discard. So I think at the very least he has a purpose. He's not just kind of shoehorned in. So he does kind of play his part in the film. I've got a cat.
Yeah, no,
scratching
I
my
agree.
door
Yeah,
to say-
he's certainly not a wasted character. That is for certain. He has a role. I'm not entirely sure what the role is beyond comedy. Now I'm watching it
Yeah.
back, but whatever his role is, it is performed well. Not performed, but it's done.
But
Well.
sometimes he's in scenes he's quite distracting to the actual what's going on. Like, I'm sure there's a bit of the
Yeah, like
table. They're talking at a table, and
Aye.
it's just kind of focusing on him trying to steal food or something. It's just like,
And like, or
you
like the
just don't
pod race
catch
when
any
they're
of the
building the pod
conversation.
racer as well. Yeah, it's just like, why are you there? You just get
Yeah.
away from the electric. Just get away. You don't need to be in this scene. You're clearly not going to add anything. Oh wait, you're just being stupid. That is why you're here.
Yeah.
See the memory I've got. I think it was like a toy you got in the cereal. I don't know if Paul remembers this. It was like a Jar Jar head, like that size, and it had a long tongue, and you could like throw it at walls, and it would stick to the walls.
Oh yeah, I remember them.
I
I
always
remember
had-
them. Yeah.
I've always had a vivid memory of that. He's a conversation starter, Jar Jar, isn't he? Do we have Paul? Do you have a favorite Jar Jar quote?
Uh, I can't speak. Is that the one where his tongue goes numb? I can't speak.
Yeah.
My
I'm-
tongue is numb.
I considered a Kipu, but
Okay,
I actually quite like the one where he goes, Misa going underwater now, Kide. I quite like that one. What were you, Jiminy? Jar Jar standouts?
I mean, no, I'm not particularly. No, I think this time round I just kind of blocked him out. I think it was just every time he was on screen, it's like, no, just shut him off.
Right,
you
Jim's,
muted
not,
those scenes.
Jim's not a Star Wars fan. It's a shame you didn't put your name as Jim Binks.
In hindsight,
Jim.
yeah, that would have.
I feel like I'm the Jar Jar of this podcast, just here for the cheap laughs. Right. On the topic of quotes, like although it's quite ironic in some places, and it's like the Star Wars prequels have become heavily memed, but there's still quite a few kind of memorable lines in this one. So, Paul, I was just at Jim. Have you got any kind of like takeaway quotes you've always remembered from that you can associate with this film? Out with Jar Jar.
With Jar Jar. Is that this one? Newt Gunray's like, what does he say? He's like, oh, there's 2 of them.
This is getting out of hand. Now there are 2 of them. Yeah.
What else is that? I don't know. It's just wee daft things. I don't remember like what Andy really says. Like the main people. It's like the wee daft side people. It's like was it the breaking through the doors or something like that? I don't know. Just wee daft wee things. Boss Nass has a lot of good ones, but I couldn't even say them or remember them.
I could say them.
Yeah.
And you did it,
I
and
know.
you performed them very well.
Thank you.
And then there's obviously Sabalba when he says poodoo.
What the poodoo?
Yeah, I kind of think any off the top of my head right enough, but
Jim, you got any non-Jar Jar quotes you can remember?
None that I can remember, but one I don't know if this was on purpose or if it was accidental, but it popped me silly. It was one of the droids. Now it's again not one of your classic main characters, but it was when they were going through the hangar and you've got Qui-Gon goes up to this droid and he's like, "Oh, we're off to Coruscant," and this droid's like, "Oh, that does not compute." And he's like, "We're off to Coruscant." He's like, "That does not compute." And then there's like this pause, and then he very comedic goes, "Oh wait, you're under arrest," and it popped me daft. I was like, I don't know if this was on purpose. I don't know if this is just purely accidental, and it's whoever was performing this just. But yeah, it made me. It made me. I laughed out loud when this happened. I was like, it was just so funny. It was like there's just this droid out of nowhere. It's like, oh wait, no, you're under arrest. It's like, and then obviously the shooting starts happening. It's like. It was
That's a good one. I always remember the action figures. What is action figures? The figures that came out with this film. It was like a comm link, and they had like a wee chip, and if you could like attach the character's feet to the chip, and it would like speak out some of the quotes. That was always one of my kind of like memories of this. So the ones I liked was Darth Maul's "At last we will reveal ourselves to the Jedi. At last we will have revenge." That's a classic one. And Watto's "No money, no parts, no deal." I always like those ones.
yeah. Is it Thingy to Shaun the Dead that does his voice? Phantom Menace.
Aye, Pete.
Pete.
Yeah.
Nobody knows his real name. It's just Pete.
I know. I'm sure there was another one as well, but it'll probably come back to me. It's when Qui-Gon says, "Feel, don't think, use your instincts," at the start of the pod race.
Okay.
I always liked that one.
Spinning it's a good trick. That's an annoying quote.
Yeah. Right, so we've got the quiz to come, but are there just open to either of you? Is there anything else that you wanted to discuss about this, or anything that comes to mind?
One thing I kind of wrote down, like for me, this film, obviously, it came out obviously very close to this other film, but this one for me particularly feels like the Philosopher's Stone in tone. Like, so this is Star Wars version of the Philosopher's Stone in kind of tone. Obviously, it's a lot more child friendly, a lot more which obviously wants to go for a very young audience. Because then obviously when you get to 2 and 3, obviously it's tonally it's a lot darker and grittier, which is obviously the same as what happens in the Harry Potter films. You start off with quite a very childish tone to try to get the audience in, and then as they progress, they get tonally a lot darker and grittier and more adult. And that's how I kind of felt watching this. I kind of felt like I was watching Star Wars' version of the Philosopher's Stone. Obviously, I know this came out before, but that's just kind of how I felt while I was watching this. I was like, this,
Yeah, it's an interesting take. I like it being a massive Harry Potter fan. I enjoyed the reference. What were you, Paul? Was there any? I know you don't do notes, but was there anything you wanted to discuss?
I don't know. I'm not really a fan of the battle droids in the films itself. I just feel like we see when they're fighting the battle droids, it just doesn't. It feels like they're just not fighting anything like they aren't. They're just fighting like a green screen, or it just doesn't feel like there's any really weight behind it. Like especially like the Jedi, it just feels like they're swishing their blades and they're just falling apart like dead easy, and it just doesn't have the same weight as it would be like a stormtrooper or something. So I'm not a big fan of the droids. I know it's like the 90s and they're experimenting with a few things in that, but I just not a fan of it.
Okay. No, I get that. So we not really talked about the CGI much. There was one particular scene, you know, the one we're talking about with Paul's disappeared. The one with Jar Jar stealing the food at the dinner table.
Yes.
I thought he kind of stood out like a sore thumb in that scene in terms of
Yeah,
like the
there was a lot of
CGI.
scenes when the Gungans kind of stand out like
Yeah,
sore thumbs.
yeah.
There was a few scenes where like, oof, that looks rough.
Apart from the Gungans, I think it looks like maybe apart from the battle droids and the Gungans, I think the rest of the film looks quite good. What do you guys make of that?
Yeah, I mean, there was a couple of scenes. I think the spattle on the boo when they're out on the fields. There was a couple of shots where you could clearly tell that this was a CG, fully CG kind of shot, and it, you know, they like the grass and the tanks where they are in the background. Yeah, they didn't look great. So I think there are a lot of elements of the CG which has kind of aged quite poorly, but yeah, for the time, I think it's a good bit of CG.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I do like the set designs though. Like, see, I think Naboo, obviously it was like an existing city, wasn't it? But they kind of just jazzed up wee parts of it. I really like that because I think it looked very like a kind of palace. So
yeah,
I did enjoy the settings, the kind of physical settings.
I think something the prequels did really well was the new planets. Like, I love everything about Naboo. Like, I think it's just I've never actually been to Italy, and I know you can actually go to some of the filming locations in Attack of the Clones, but it just looks stunning. And Coruscant also is a great concept. Tatooine's obviously was already known, but Coruscant and Naboo, I think, were good introductions to the Star Wars universe, which led to a lot of stuff in the animated shows as well.
Yeah, yeah. The only thing about Coruscant though is like it's pretty boring when you go there because it's all like political talk. It's like, oh, we need to get votes to Chancellor or this, and you're kind of just sitting there like, I don't really care for this. I really want to just get back to the fighting and the adventure rather than just sitting about go, you know, we need to get more votes because then we can stop this trade federation and the blockades and etc. Blah blah blah. And it's like, nah, this isn't for me.
They did it in a boring way, but obviously longer term, it's quite important for Palpatine to get into power. But yeah, I agree. I think, Jim, what do you? Something I noted down was, did you feel the Coruscant sequence maybe slowed the pace of the film down a wee bit?
What you're talking when they're in the Senate or whatever.
Just when they're there in general, even the Jedi Council scenes aren't particularly like.
I mean, they're not riveting, no, but they, like you said, they kind of serve a purpose. Obviously, they're there to kind of show Palpatine kind of trying to weasel his way in. Obviously, you've got then you've got Qui-Gon with Yoda and Mace Windu. I mean, it kind of shows the dynamics to there. Could they have done without them? No, I don't think I could have. I think they fit this film perfectly. I know they're not they're not lightsabers and laser blasters, not so they've got their purpose, and I think without them, I don't think the film would. I don't think it would kind of. What am I trying to say here?
You don't think the overall plot would work?
Yeah,
without the politics.
It wouldn't. Yeah, it wouldn't. I don't think it would fit without the politics being in there.
That's a fair point, because obviously, it was something I was wondering what you guys thought. See, like Padme and Palpatine. Did you remember? Like, did you right away the first time you see it be like, oh yeah, that's the Emperor and that's the Queen? Or because obviously we were all quite young at the time, or did you learn it like after the fact by like looking online or like reading books or things like that? Like,
I don't know. See, Palpatine, does he not turn up in like holograms? Like talking to the Trade Federation, that.
Yeah.
And then you're like, well, I think when I was like, I could tell like that's him, that's Palpatine, that's the Emperor, that's him, the guy in the hood. I don't think they made it unobvious, if you know what I mean.
I remember feeling really like smug that afterwards I was like, oh, that's Palpatine. I've worked this out.
To be fair, Colin, you do have a knack for missing the obvious.
Aye. That was mean.
Sorry. I just think about the thing, maybe.
Yeah. No spoilers. What about you, Jim? Do you remember like clocking on right away, or did you
probably not? No, I mean, as a
oh, you hadn't seen them?
12-year-old, there's no chance I would have clocked on that. That's. I mean, I probably would have had an idea, but I don't think I would have been convinced. I don't know. My younger self would have been like, "Oh yeah, that's definitely that is." But I'd have got an iffy feel. I'd have got like a bit of an iffy feeling about Palpatine, but not knowing. I don't think I'd have known he's the guy under the hood.
See when you're like watching back for the purposes of a review, it's so obvious that Padme's the queen. Like, well, I don't approve and things like that.
Yeah, I think when you watch things back as an adult, yeah, you definitely it's very blaringly obvious. But I think for the audience that they were going for at the time, I think they've done it in such a way that it's obvious if you're an adult, but if you're a younger viewer, you're not necessarily going to get it and click on straight away.
Yeah, I think the Padme one was a surprise for me. The Palpatine wasn't, but Padme was.
Yeah. Well, I think obviously Keira Knightley and Natalie Portman were always considered to look quite similar, like particularly at that age. There's a couple of thoughts about the kind of Jedi Council. One, how kind of dull they are and how kind of like serious Yoda is at that stage, but also, are you puppet Yoda or CGI Yoda? There's a couple of things in there. Whoever wants to bite first.
Oh, I don't think he was. Was he puppet? Oh.
The original release, he was a puppet, and then they CGI'd him after the fact. Yeah.
I mean, I think if you're going to go Yoda, you've got to be puppet Yoda. But obviously, yeah, when you get as they progress, obviously, the thing is, is it number 2? He has quite a big lightsaber battle. Yeah, so obviously you can't really unless you've got someone in a green green morph suit throwing a puppet around. I don't think you're really going to be able to do that without the CG. Yeah. But yeah, I think puppet Yoda kind of is the best and only way of doing Yoda.
Yeah, I'm the same as Jim. Like, I would always go practical over CGI. Most of the time, practical looks better than CGI. I'd say, honestly. The only thing is with this movie, because there's so much CGI in it, does the puppet look more out of place because like all the backgrounds and stuff are CGI in that? I don't know. Possibly.
Yeah, because have you seen the trailer for the new show that's coming out, The Acolyte?
I have, yeah.
Yes, I have, yeah.
So there's obviously what appears to be a Sith Lord in there. So obviously there was a whole bit in this film how the Sith had been extinct for a millennium. So some people were saying that was like contradicting Phantom Menace, but then others were saying that maybe the Jedi Council hushed it up. Have you got any thoughts on that?
I just think the writers weren't really sure what was going on half the time. Just trying hard to sometimes just forget things and forget to join the dots.
There's a funny link between our last movie review and this one. Who's the common thread between our most recent movie podcast and this one?
John Travolta.
No.
Bruce Willis.
No.
Sam Jackson, surely.
What do you make of Samuel Jackson in this film? See, when you see how, like,
what was he needed?
He's pretty. Mace Windu's pretty boring most of the time, isn't he?
I mean, what was he needed in this film? I mean, how many did he said what, like 2 or 3 lines tops, and was in what, one scene
He's-
maybe?
He's just cool, but he's a lot cooler when he gets his purple lightsaber.
Oh yeah, that lightsaber's boss. That's
Mhm.
probably that is the coolest lightsaber.
Yeah, he has more time to shine in the other two films, but yeah, he's pretty dull in this one and pretty serious.
So, speaking of links, there, you two are clearly a lot much bigger Star Wars fans than I am. Where do you two sit on the theory that ET is linked to Star Wars?
Well, they're in this. They're in the Senate.
do you...
That's the only link that I know of that they're. Paul, stop rubbing your eyes. It'll hurt
Yeah,
you.
but so I've got a sore eye.
It's going to get worse.
I know.
I don't have it up, but there is obviously this big fan theory, obviously, that ET's
not something I've ever seen. I obviously know it's quite well known that they're in the kind of Senate pod, and that seemed. But I don't really know a lot about the fan theory.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure Earth is in one of the Star Wars comics. I think Han Solo goes to Earth at some point. So it all connects, man. It all connects.
He'd be disappointed.
Yeah.
Right, guys, we got any? Also, we'll come back to our scores later on, but just have you any final thoughts before we get into the trivia showdown?
Yeah, we need to stop talking about this movie because the more I talk about it, the more I'm starting to dislike it.
Really? I'm the
I
opposite.
feel like all I've done is moan this whole episode.
Well, let's see if you're moaning as we go. Right, so I basically had 3 batches of 5 questions thinking James was here. So how we're going to work this is, so let's say Jim goes first, and then Paul, and then we can just kind of flip it. We'll go in that order. So there's basically 3 questions available. And instead of writing questions for specific people, I've just decided to make the questions and then we'll decide on the day who does what, because James and Paul like to complain about the questions and how difficult they are and stuff like that. So Jim, you've got a choice of 1, 2, or 3. Pick your number, and that's your first question.
Which one's the easiest? Which one's going to be the easiest for not a massive Star Wars fan?
I'd say number 1.
Oh, well, that's that now, are we?
He's probably double bluffing me. It's going to be the hardest question.
Right. So the Trade Federation organization, their kind of head is called the Viceroy of the Trade Federation. What is the name of the Viceroy? Who's the head of the Trade Federation?
I don't know. The only thing I wrote down about the Viceroy is that his suit kind of reminds me of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle suits.
It does his face.
Bonus point for that.
Oh, I don't know his name. Dave. Viceroy Dave.
Right, so that unfortunately is not correct.
Ah, well.
Paul, you don't get a point for this, but do you know the answer?
Is it Newt Gunray? Is that what I said earlier on?
It's Newt Gunray, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So, Paul, you've got a choice of 2 or 3.
Which one's easiest?
I would go for 3 for you, I would say.
Okay, 3 then.
Okay, what is the name of the kind of squadron? I know you didn't like the space battle, but what is the name of the kind of, you know, like A New Hope, you've got kind of like, is it Red Squadron, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what's the name of the, fine, it's something squadron. What are they called?
Oh my god. Why did I ask? Why did you give me pick 3?
I'll share 2 with you later.
Let's see. Green.
I thought you were picked. Is that your answer?
Yeah, no. Doesn't sound like it should be. Yellow.
Right, you can't just keep naming colors.
Yellow.
No. The answer is Bravo Squadron.
That was close.
Right, this is for either of you. We talked about the scene where Anakin's talking about angels. What planet's moon did Anakin say that angels live on? Someone say something.
It's just some good podcast in there. Some lot of dead air. Oh, what planet? Oh, I don't know.
I can't remember either.
It's Iego. IEGO.
Not gonna lie,
Dilate-
Jim, this could be zeros across the board here.
It's
Just-
gonna be. It's definitely gonna be zeros for me. You might get
Just-
one.
Just while we were talking about the Bravo Squadron, I absolutely love all Naboo know how to make spaceships, by the way. See, like the Royal spaceship plus the Starfighters, brilliant designs.
They're very sleek, aren't they? Very sleek and sexy.
They obviously brought that back as well. Right, Jim, 1, 2, or 3?
I mean,
I
I'm
think-
going to get it wrong. I'm going to get
Do
it
you
wrong
want
either
two-
way.
do you
So
want
let's
two?
go 2.
Do you want 2?
Let's go 2. Let's have 2.
Okay, I think you might get this.
Oh, wait, was that
hang
last
on.
question mine?
No, your question was Bravo Squadron. That was James's question.
Oh, right, okay, got. Oh, was that between both of you?
Right. So the first question.
I wasn't
Jim,
listening. Right, okay, I've got it. I wasn't listening. Okay.
Right, Jim.
I'm glad you're finally awake, Paul.
How old was Anakin in the film, or supposed to be? Because we talked about this earlier, so I think you might have a chance of getting this.
9? Is that what you said?
Correct.
You said 9? Yeah.
You got your point,
Yes.
Paul. You're behind. Do you want 1 or 3?
1.
Okay. Again, we talked about this earlier. Some of these have came up already. Who voices Darth Maul?
Pete.
What's his surname?
Pete from Shaun of the Dead.
Right, I'll give you it. Is that okay if I give him that, Jim?
I mean, your rules.
I know, but I want to be fair. It's I can't even say it. Seravinovich. The guy at Guardians of the Galaxy.
I was just about to say that too.
Right, I'll give you it. Okay. And the other question. So, which crime organization controls Tatooine? Either of you.
The
Oh,
Huts.
yeah.
Yep, the Huts.
Yeah.
Was that James's question, was it?
Well, they weren't set to a person.
Yeah, sorry.
It was just like whoever picked. So I think that's a good way to do it, and then there's less bias accusations flung about.
Gotta speed this up though. It's almost Jim's beddy bias.
Yeah, we're almost done. We're almost
I'm
done.
all right. I don't normally go to sleep till about 11
Well,
anyway. So
We'll be done by 3:30. Number 3, Jim. Do you want 1, 2, or 3?
3.
3. Okay. Again, I think we spoke about this quite recently. How long are the Sith said to be extinct for during the events of Phantom Menace? It's not like a specific number of years. It's like a kind of phrase.
Is it a millennia?
Yes. Well, millennium, but yeah, we'll give you it. Same difference. Right. So it's 2-1. Paul, do you want 1 or 2?
2.
Okay. What pod race competition does Anakin enter? What's it called?
Bunta Eve.
Correct. The Bunta Eve Classic. And to either of you, what kind of transport does Boss Nass provide to the crew near the start of the
bongo.
film? A bongo, yep. Okay, so it's 2-2
Jim
at
is a
the
Star Wars
moment.
fan. He lied. He's a massive stuff. He's a nerd in disguise.
That's quite a deep cut as well. So yeah. So it's 2-2 at the moment. And Jim, Jim. What number do you want?
Let's go back to 1.
Right. What? You'll like this one.
Oh, here we go.
What rank is Jar Jar Binks given towards the end of the film? What army rank?
Oh, what is he given?
He faints. He faints just after he finds it.
It's got it's something general, isn't it? I think it's something general.
Is that your answer?
What, something general?
Oh,
Oh,
something general.
No, it's escaped me. It's something
Yeah.
general. I think
I'm going to
but
give
it's,
you the point because it is general.
It's just general, is it? Ah, well.
General Jaja.
General. Paul, one or two or three.
Oh, 2. Down the middle.
How does Jabba signal the start of the pod race?
Doesn't it like bite the head off like some wee creature and then spit it against a gong or something?
Correct.
Thank God.
So
Yeah, that was a fever dream.
That's 3-3. This is one for either of you. Who is the titular Phantom Menace? Like, who is the Phantom Menace?
Jar Jar. Is it
Palpatine?
Yes. Well, it's Darth Sidious, but Palpatine, yeah. That's the one. Right, so it's 3-3 going into the last round of questions. There's a tiebreaker.
Oh, how excited!
Jim, do you want 1, 2, or 3? Paul, your sarcasm isn't welcome here.
No, I'm excited.
Let's
It's
go
just late at night.
Let's go 3.
It's earlier than we normally finish. Number 3. What species is Sebulba? Sebulba's the pod racer that Anakin just beat.
Right, okay. I do not know.
Do you want to make a guess? Or
No, I don't know. I'm never gonna.
It's a domestic animal. A wee dog.
Right, yeah, the answer is Doug. D-U-G. Paul, for the win, 1 or 2?
1.
Okay. What is the name of the Chancellor that Palpatine replaces?
Valorum.
Correct. Chancellor Valorum. He's quite a famous actor as well. Is it Terence Stamp, is it?
Aye.
I don't know him from anything else, but I know he's well known.
He's in quite a few things. He's in Yes Man. He's like the kind of spiritual leader.
Not seen that. Unsurprisingly. And the last question was, we've already talked about this, who plays the Queen's decoy?
Keira Knightley.
Yeah. So Paul wins by 4 points to 3, but Jim, I think you gave it a really good effort there.
That's better than I thought I was going to do.
You did a lot better than I've done in recent quizzes anyway.
What, was there a tiebreaker in there? No.
Yeah, do you want the tiebreaker?
Yeah, because like I'm not gonna lie, I feel like you did let me off a bit scot-free with that Pete Sevilafalach, what his name was.
Are you willing to make this a tiebreaker?
Aye, make it more exciting because it was a bit cheeky. It was a bit cheeky, wasn't it?
How did we do the tiebreaker? How did we like determine who got to go first?
Do you know, let's do the question and we just say our name and
you say your name.
His name first gets to go.
So your name's Paul. If you wanted to practice,
Paul.
Right. Who before Watto? Who owned Anakin and Shmi, Anakin's mother?
Are you sure? Do you want to go back on this tiebreaker? Or do you want to just take the win?
What's the script?
No, but you can find them inside the wee bag that Watto keeps the chance cubes.
Oh, sorry, that's to be silly. That's a wee silly in joke, Jim. That's terrible. We shouldn't do in jokes in this, especially a tiebreaker, tense tiebreaker. I have no idea. I can't tell you.
If you have an answer.
What was it? Just simply the Hutts?
Gordo.
You know what? You know what, Paul?
Gordo. I don't know.
Do you know? Because Jim said it first, and the answer is one of the Hutts. I'm going to give Jim the win. Because off the back of that, you just said something random about the Hutts, Paul. So,
what did I say about the Hutts?
I don't know. You said something.
Oh, right, okay.
It's Gardula the Hutt.
Oh.
It's mentioned in the film.
Half a point each.
What did you say?
We'll take the draw.
I said Gordo.
It's not Gordo, no. Is that his Scottish variant?
Big Gordo. He's a big Gordo the Hut.
Right, guys, thank you for playing. Just before we sign off, it's time to give our seismic stars. So our score out of 10 for this film. So I'm happy to go first to give you a wee bit of thinking time. I've went for number 7. I've went for 7, and I think it's got lots of good parts, as we discussed, the Duel of the Fates, the pod racing, a lot of the iconic characters and quotes. But I think some of the CGI, the kind of wooden dialogue, and some of the kind of character choices kind of bring it down a wee bit. So what about you, Jim? What would you give this one out of 10? Based on just this film alone, out of your enjoyment of it?
I would probably go slightly higher. I'd probably give it a 7.5. I think,
Okay.
like you said, that the Duel of the Fates, the pod racing, there's a lot of scenes there that still really hold up, like after 25 years. But yeah, of course, there's some wooden acting, some dodgy CGI in places. But I think overall, I think if you're wanting to introduce new fans to the franchises, I think it's the perfect jumping on point for younger fans. I think the way they handled this without Darth Vader as well, I think was really well done.
He was there.
Well, all right, all right. If you're going to be that pernickety without having Darth Vader like in costume on screen and having instead Darth Maul as this big bad for the film, I think that was handled really well. So yeah, I think for me, I'd say 7.5.
I made it sound like I disliked the film. I've given it a 7, but yeah, no, I do a lot of fond memories for the film, a lot of nostalgia, a really cult classic. What were you, Paul?
I'd probably give it, I don't know, like see before we started, I was probably gonna give it like, I don't know, a 7 or something. Well, because I've been talking about it, and I feel like I've just been like absolutely like shitting on it the whole time. 6.5. Go 6.5.
That big build up, and you went 0.5 lower than me.
Yeah, nostalgia.
So the way he was chatting about it, then I was expecting to come in. Yeah, 4.
I thought I was going 4 as well.
No, that's reserved for the sequel trilogy.
Rebel Moon.
Hey, that's a 9. That's a 9 out of 10 all day long.
No, there's good parts I enjoy, like the battles. It's mostly the battles I enjoy. Like Jim was saying earlier on about the underwater travel with the bigger fish. That's like kind of the bits I always remember from when you kid, because I was like, oh my god, this was amazing. This was great. But then looking at it as an older person, like I can't stand Jar Jar. Jar Jar's here everywhere. Just the dialogue and acting is a bit wonky. There's a few bits where I kind of punch out at where it's like they're talking about the politics. There's a
say something nice.
The palace looked pretty. But I was saying I did enjoy the fights through the palace, through Naboo, through Theed. The space battle still looks pretty good, I think. I don't know. It didn't. I don't know. I'm just going to say 6.5. It's better than average, but it's not great, I'd say.
Just on our podcast.
Below average.
Just one thing before we do the finales. I feel like we just didn't wax lyrical about Darth Maul enough. Like, he's like just
one of the biggest parts of the film that we barely touched on.
With such limited screen time, just the visuals of his lightsaber is iconic. His entrance scene where he ignites, that you've seen that meme where it's like Star Wars fans in theaters. It's like Darth Maul ignites one half, It's that one where the guy's like, "What do you on its other half?" Do you know about I mean?
Yeah, just that emergence of the other end of the lightsaber is just iconic. Because I mean, it just makes you wonder why they've never done that. Why it's not in any of the other films. Like they introduced this essentially brand new technology in episode 1, which is like essentially the beginning of this entire saga, and then it's just never seen again.
He had the only one that got chopped in half, so just like him.
But yeah, it was fantastic. It was great.
I've seen a lot of people say they should have kept him as the overarching villain for the whole trilogy, rather than like Dooku and Grievous, etc.
Yeah.
It
was
helped.
cool, and then he was just killed pretty quick. You know, I mean, he was very.
Yeah, it might have helped with the trilogy as a whole, because I think when this trilogy first came out, they weren't really considered that great, were they? They weren't. I don't think they were received that well by fans. But I think in hindsight, I think this trilogy is actually quite a good trilogy.
But the minor spoilers for the animated shows, but he did have a resurgence and have some amazing episodes and moments further down the line, which is good. Paul's got me.
I still understand how he survived, but that's just me.
Because of the power of the dark side. Jim's like, he survived?
I don't even know what show you're referencing now. I don't know what cartoon you're on about.
He came back in the Clone Wars animated series with robot legs, which sounds
right, okay.
ridiculous, but he actually has great like character development and amazing scenes.
Another show that I've been told is really, really good.
Yeah, I was just watching it. He's got robot spider legs. I'm like, how? Why? He was cut in half.
Paul's got me to thank for finally watching the animated shows, because I kept badgering him for months.
Yeah.
And he was lucky enough I caught COVID, so I could watch it over an extended period when COVID was rife in lockdown.
Oh well. Right, guys. Jim, you want to just give a wee sign out where we can find your podcast?
Yeah, so you can find Casterroll on Apple, Amazon, Spotify, YouTube, basically anywhere you want to get your podcast from. You can find us over on X at Casterroll Pod. We are on TikTok and Instagram, but we're not really that big on it at the moment. We don't really post a great deal, so I'm not really going to plug that yet. Obviously we have, we do have a Buy Me a Coffee page as well, which is buymeacoffee.com/Casterroll podcast. Should people that like listening to us want to give us a little donation as well. But I think that's about it. Our episodes come out every 2 weeks on a Tuesday. So the next episode is May the 7th. So then it'll be 2 weeks again after that will be the next episode. So yeah. Come along, give us a listen, and hopefully continue enjoying the ride.
Sounds good. And Jim, thanks so much for giving up your evening to come on and talk Phantom Menace.
It was a pleasure to be here. I hope I've not made myself sound too stupid.
No, I think you've undersold yourself as a Star Wars fan a wee bit.
maybe I have. I don't know. But I was concerned. I was concerned there was going to be a lot of Star Wars lore going around. I was going to be like, oh dear.
To be fair, Colin reads like some of the books and that. I actually only just watch the movies and the kind of main TV shows. I'm not really into like the books and all the deep dives and that kind of stuff. So I'm quite mainstream. Colin dabbles in the kind of other stuff. So we're not that hardcore, I'd say. We just enjoy our stuff.
There's people out there a lot more crazy than us. I've just got one request. If you've made it to the end of this podcast, and it's if you could help us on our journey to 150 subscribers on YouTube. We're currently on 137. So if you've enjoyed this content, we would greatly appreciate you subscribing to the channel.
Jim was number 135.
Good number.
Paul, all we need to do is just sign off with our catchy slogan. What have you got for us this week?
The power of pod racing.
Nice.
No.
I think that'll do it, Paul. But actually, our slogan is the power of escapism, and I hope you've enjoyed escaping with us.
Yes. Goodbye, and thank you again, Jim.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you very much. Goodbye.